Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, moving to new series of sutras from Maya or illusion to reality. Maya to reality. Each one of us is born centered in himself. But the society, the family, the education system, the conditionings all push the man off the center, and then he continues to live the life away from the center. This creates chaos, disturbances, agonies, and everything. If you are centered, then there is no problem. That is the reason the entire focus of the mystics, of the masters, is to bring you back to your center so that you can start living your life naturally. And this process of moving you off the center is done in a very cunning way. It is said that this is wrong, this is not the way of God. Where did you get the sex energy in you from? Did you go and buy it? Or whatever way you have got it, you are born with it. You are born with the potentiality. Where does the seed get the flower in it? It is born with a potentiality. When the potentiality is used in a proper way, then the flowers begin to blossom. In the same way, your potentiality, your being connected to the center is the seed. And when it begins to grow in the congenial atmosphere, it blossoms. When a child is born, he has to be brought in a particular discipline. He is born innocent, but he is conditioned to be a Hindu, Muslim, or Christian. And this creates the problem. In this century, a scientist named Delgado did a research. He put an electrode in the brain of a bull, and with the control box outside, by pressing it, he sent certain vibrations, and the bull got into tremendous energy. He got into rage, and he was almost ready to kill Delgado. Now, we have the given remotes to the other people. Your spouse or someone else says something to you. In doing so, he has pressed that button. Society has created an imaginary electrode in your brain by way of their conditioning, and now the moment that is pressed, something begins to happen to you. You are no more normal person. You start, the inner disturbance begin to surface in the form of rage, in the form of many other things. Does it not happen in our day-to-day life? The husband says something, the wife says something, the employer says something. And immediately everything changes, as if there is an imaginary electrode put in your brain by way of this conditioning, by way of education, and you immediately, your screen changes. If he is allowed total freedom, he will remain with the center, spontaneous, living with himself, living himself. He will be original, he will be spontaneous, he will be natural as he is. He will be authentic, and then there will be no need to practice any self-remembering or spiritual practices. There will be no need to practice any meditation, because meditation is the process to bring you back to your center as you were born natural. Because many wrong things had happened by way of upbringing the children. If a child who is born in a particular family, Hindu, and he is brought up in another family, his everything changes. There is a story of a boy. He was born, and somehow or the other, I don't know exactly what happened. He got himself into the herd of wolves. So the wolves brought him up. He was walking like wolf. The other changes happened. He started howling. And then much later on, when he was 11 or 12 years of age, he was discovered and he was brought and put into treatment. And it was very difficult to bring him back into the manhood, and with continuous treatment and everything, and finally he died. There are many stories like these, but this was actually a real story. The child brought up in the herd of wolves. So when you are, it gives us simply a message. When a child is born, but he is brought up in the family of the people, the society, the priest, the family, the education system, which are all against him being the natural and spontaneous, it creates a problem. He will never go, if he is allowed a natural and spontaneous life, he will never go off the center. He will remain with himself, centered, rooted, grounded in his own being, but this has not yet been possible. So Delgado has shown this, which we know each one of us has an imaginary electrode which gets triggered off with a particular circumstance and situation and changes everything. Meditation is therefore needed as a medicine. The society creates the disease, the education system creates a disease, the priestly community or religious understanding all create the disease, and then the disease has to be treated. Religion or spirituality, religiousness, I would put the word. Religiousness is medicinal. If really a human society based in freedom is allowed to evolve, there will be no need of religiousness. There will be no need for religion. Hindu's dharma is quite comprehensive in it. You do not need to believe in God. You need not believe in anything, yet still you can be a Hindu. Without these particular rituals, which are part of Islamic tradition, the 5 pillars of Islam. Without these, you are not a Muslim. Without belief in Jesus and in Bible, you are not a Christian. But you need not believe in Bhagavad Gita or various scriptures, Ramayana or anything, but you can be a Hindu, because there are certain qualities which makes you a human. And when you read these stories, you understand these stories of Ram, Krishna and all these mystics, that brings the inspiration in you and makes you a better human being. Religiousness is medicinal. If really a human society is based in freedom and can be evolved, there would be no need of any religion, because we need medicine only when we are ill. And because we are off-centered, methods of centering are needed. So there are systems we use. In some of these sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, how to center your consciousness back. If somebody, and if someday it becomes possible on earth to create a healthy society, healthy in the inner sense, not the outer health, the physical health, but inner health, then there will be no need for religion. Everybody will be religious. But it seems difficult to create such a society. And even if you try to do, it will be difficult. Child has to be disciplined. What are you doing when you are disciplining a child? You are forcing something which is not natural to him. Every child wants to play with his genitals, male or female. But the moment parents see it, they try to stop it. So what the children do, they go to the hiding places like bathroom, and there they play with their genitals. Even the grown-up people like to play with their genitals because it gives a certain amount of pleasure. So now certain scientists and medical professions, doctors are pointing out this is natural and it gives more pleasure to an individual. In Vatsayana, in Kama Sutra, has emphasized on these things. The self-pleasure. We are depending on others for pleasure, which we call sex. But it is said, in order to get a greater fulfillment, one has to go into auto-pleasure. For this, there are different names. If you see the child is doing things naturally what he's supposed to do, and you are trying to discipline a child, you are forcing something on him which is not natural, you are asking and demanding something which will never do anything spontaneously, you will punish him if he does so. You will appreciate if he is disciplined. You will bribe him. You will do anything to make him a social being, to take him away from being a natural and spontaneous person. You will create a new center which is false in his mind, and something that was never there. I gave you the example which Delgado did. He did the experiment with the bulls. He put an electrode An electrode is connected to a box, and by pressing certain buttons on the box, the whole psychology, the mentality of the bull was changed. Bull was in tremendous rage and he rushed to kill Delgado. Something like that. This we call is the sexual violence in modern terminology. Someone says something to you or sees your behavior other than normal, which is understood by the society, the rage comes in and many things happen. We become unconscious. And you create a false center in him, not natural. You were born innocent, not a Hindu, nor a Muslim, nor a Christian, nor a Jew, but you make him a Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, or a Jew. This is a false center. You're creating a false center, then you start operating with a Hindu mind, with a Christian mind, or a Jewish mind, not as a natural mind. And you go into unconsciousness. Your natural center has moved to unconsciousness, into the dark. You were born in light, but you have been pushed into the darkness. And your unnatural center has become your consciousness. The Islamic, the Christian, the Hindu conditioning has become your center. You will operate from that center. Then you will say that you will not do this or that, and so you will criticize one for the other, which is erroneous. It is the outcome of the false center. There is no reality, no division, really no division between consciousness and unconscious and unconscious. The division is created, and you are one consciousness. This division comes because you have moved from your natural center to a false center that has been created in you. There is a circle. That circle has a center, isn't it so? From that center, the distance to the circumference is same at different positions. But if the center is changed and somehow or the other you are not able to find the center of that circle, so the distance from center to circumference, which is known as radius, will differ. At different points of circumference, from that false center, the radius will be different. Whereas radius from the center to any point in circumference remains the same. But this has been done. And that is the reason what we are now. Off balance, off centered. Then you need all kind of therapies, the psychological therapies, and many things. You live a false life, and for this false life, false center is needed. And the center, this becomes your identity. Christianity becomes your identity. Islamic conditioning becomes your identity. And it is your ego. If on the contrary your identity is cosmic, I am part of this cosmos, not part of Hindu religion or Christian or Islamic religion, then you will be centered once again. So entire process of a spiritual development is bringing you back to the center. That is why no matter what you do, you are never blissful, because only the real center can give you blissfulness, can give you satiation. Only the real center can explode and come to the climax, the optimum possibility, and that possibility is bliss. The false center plays the shadow game. You can play with it, you can hope with it, but ultimately nothing but frustration comes out of it. Do you know, you blame the other, but you do not blame it to your conditionings. You blame that wife makes you frustrated, husband makes you frustrated, this man makes me angry all the time, the employer makes me angry, this employee makes me angry. But in that, and this is considered as the way of life, I am frustrated. That man frustrates me. This particular circumstance frustrates me. But you do not know when you are off center. How can there be light? You have put the plug not into the electrical socket but somewhere else, and you expect the bulb to light. It can never happen. Or one terminal is out from the plug. So what you do, you check the connections. If the connections are correct, there will be, everything will fall into the right place. But if it is not so, just as what was happening right now, there was no sound on the Facebook, whereas the sound was there on YouTube. So things like that happen. In a way, everything is forcing you not to be yourself. Your wife says, I do not agree with this person because he speaks a different language. His ways and means are different. You are going to a particular function, your wife wants you to dress this way or that way. You are not given freedom even to dress the way you want. And you cannot be changed just by saying that this is wrong, because society has its own needs. It prepares you to be beneficial to the society. A child, when born, is just like an animal, is spontaneous, centered, grounded, but so independent. He cannot become part of any organization. Religion is an organization. You are made a part of a particular religion. So you are being disturbed. He has to be forced, cultured, and changed. In this process of cultivation, he has to be pushed out of his center. Sometimes if you are using the geometry and you are trying to draw a circle using the compass or that equipment that you use, it has a point that denotes the center, and there is a lead that makes this circle as it revolves, as it moves clockwise. If there is not a balance between the two, the lead both are not sent at the same level, so you adjust it first before you begin the process. If the lead is too short, it is not touching the paper, then you will not be able to draw this circle. So this is what happens. The two things is needed: center and circumference. From the center you move to the circumference, and if you are off center, so sometimes it is touching the paper and making this circumference, other times it is off and not making the circumference. So it is the center that is responsible for your circumference. You are centered in yourself, so from that center, each point on the circumference is equidistant, and you will be, so from that point of view you can say that your bliss or harmony will be the same. Sometimes it happens that with certain things you are happy, with other things you are not. At certain moments you are happy with your spouse, other times you are not. So there is a disbalance between the point that connects to the center and that connects to the circumference. So certain things in your spouse you like, the other things you do not like. Certain things at certain moments you like your employee very much, other times you are not. Have you ever found an opportunity or occasion when at every moment you are in harmony with your spouse or with your employee or employer or with the circumstance and situation? If you are talking about, if an outside person talking to you about your wife, oh, she's very good. The other person says, yeah, she is very good. Yet, still, Mr. Yet comes always. Something or the other you must say, is good, yet, Mr. Yet has come in there. So, what happens? Off-centered, the circumference is not correct, it is broken. Certain part is connected to the center, other part of the circumference is not connected, so you are living on the broken circumference. Those who are familiar with geometry and drawing the circles using the very precise the equipment of the compass to draw the circle or the ordinary one will know the coordination between the point that connects to the center and the lead that draws the circumference. If we understand this analogy, then we can draw the circumference from the center and there will be no broken line. There will be no broken understanding. The circumference refers to your understanding which comes out of your connection to the center. If you are connected to the center, then your understanding will be in harmony with the center. And out of that understanding, there will be bliss. There will be harmony. There will be oneness. You will realize that you are part of cosmos. You will say we are not aliens, nor as joined. We are not aliens. We are bound to each other by a causeless force. This husband and wife sitting on the couch, arguing, angry with one another, and if the husband wants to touch the wife, he says, "Don't touch me," and considers himself or herself wise. But both of you sitting on the couch, so in a way you are touching one another. You are in the same atmosphere where you are exhaling, and whatever you exhale that remains in the atmosphere merges with the atmosphere, and when the other person inhales, so is inhaling you. Because we are in the same atmosphere, same room, and we consider ourselves to be wise, intelligent. We live on the periphery, and we live only to the extent that society allows us to be. Society says that you are a Hindu, you do not have to follow the Hindu way. Now there are people following the different traditions, and each tradition uses its own way of greetings. Muslims say Salaam Alaikum. He won't say anything else. Hindus, some say Sitaram, Radhe Shyam, Namaste. But if you follow Hare Krishna movement, you cannot say Hare Ram, you have to say Hare Krishna when you are greeting someone. And if you are following another tradition, you have to say Om Shanti, Raj Yoga. Om Shanti. No Raj Yoga person will greet you with any other word. If you belong to someone else, you will say Hari Om. That person will not say Om Shanti, because Om Shanti is connected with Raj Yoga. Hare Krishna is connected with Krishna movement, Krishna consciousness. If you are in Vrindavan, the city where Krishna was born, you will say Radhe Radhe. If you are in Banaras, Varanasi, the place of Shiva, you have to say Shiva Shankar or something else. These are the conditionings. We are living on the periphery. We are living to the extent, the way the society allows us to live. Our freedom is false because the rules of the games are there, and these are social games. What is the difference? If God is omnipresent, omniscient, then all names are His names. Everything is pulsating with that. The Ishopanishad begins with the sutra, Ishavasyamidam sarvam, yat kinch jagatyan jagat, tena tyaktena bhunjitha, magradha kashyashvidhanam. Ishavasyamidam, that consciousness, that Brahman, Vasyamidam, surrounds everything. Ishavasyamidam sarvam, yat kinch jagatyam jagat. If we live by that consciousness, we can experience the fruits of bliss or happiness. But we live guided by the society, our systems, and that is the whole process of chaos. Then you need meditation. Then you need meditation comes from the same root as medicine. Medicine treats you of the physical ailment, it treats you of the psychological ailments, and meditation is the way to treat the chaos or disturbance in you. We'll continue in tomorrow's session. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.